Hi, so we have read the story of One Winter's Day about this lovely kind hedgehog who gives away his hat and his scarf and his mittens on his trip to Badger's house. He's had a terrible day, his house has been blown away, but his kindness shines through and he helps other animals while he's on his walk to Badger's house. He's such a kind little hedgehog that I thought it might be nice if we designed some mittens and hat for him today. So on your piece of paper, we should have some room for you to do two hands side by side. So you should be able to fit your hands on your piece of paper. Now what we're going to do is we're going to make mittens just like hedgehog had. So not gloves, but mittens. So we need our fingers together. And then if you pop them right down on your piece of paper and with your pencil in your pencil hand, we're going to try and draw around it now. We don't want to draw around every finger, so because they're mittens, because they don't have little finger spaces, so we're going to bring it up and just draw a big curve around the edge of our fingers there. Okay, now we do need one for the thumb, so we're going to draw around our thumb and then come all the way down to the bottom. Okay, so we have one mitten. Now, I've got one good mitten there, I just need a line at the bottom. Now I'm going to put my pencil from my pencil hand into the other hand. And this one feels really weird because you don't hold your pencil in that hand. Fingers together, pop your hand down, and we'll do the other hand. Okay, so make sure it fits on our paper there. And I'm going to draw around my thumb this time. And then up around my fingers. Oh, right the way around. Much trickier to do this side. So keep looking at what you're doing. And then I can draw this side in, and there I have two mittens that would fit my hands and hopefully hedgehog's hands too. Okay, it's your turn. Now we've got our two mittens, and so we're going to talk a little bit about pattern. Now what is a pattern? Well, pattern is one of the visual elements. And normally we would talk about a repeat pattern. There's the word repeat, and here is the word pattern. What do you think a repeat pattern is? What could it be? A repeat pattern is something that happens over and over again. So if I have a circle and then a square, to make it into a pattern, I would repeat that, do it again, over and over. So I would go from circle to square, from circle to square, circle, square. Something that happens over and over. So it may also be a letter and a number. A letter and a number. A letter and a number. It could be a star and a dot. Anything that happens over and over and over again. Okay, now this is not a repeat pattern. Why is this one not a repeat pattern? That's right. It's not a repeat pattern because it's not something that happens over again. Here we can see them repeating, happening over and over, but not in that one there. Now on our mittens today, we are going to do a pattern so we can think about what patterns we'd like to do on our mittens, our winter mittens for our hedgehog. Now here I am back with my mittens here, and I can start to think about all the patterns that I might want to do it. I think because he had two different colours on his mittens and his hat and his scarf, he had that nice stripes on his scarf, so I think I might start off with some stripes, and I'm going to draw in some stripes across my mittens. Now they're going to go across his thumb too for me, and then one at the bottom where the little cuff goes, you know, that goes around your wrist there. And then I'm going to try and keep this mitten much the same because we like to have matching mittens, don't we? Matching gloves. They're usually two that go together, usually. So there we have, I've got some stripes and they're happening over and over again. So we've got that repeat pattern happening. Now, what could I put in my patterns here? I want to add a little bit more. So I think I'm going to add some stripes going this way in my pattern. Now, because I want to keep my mittens the same, if I do it on one mitten, I'm going to have to do it on the other mitten. Okay, and then I think I might have, oh, I'm thinking some zigzags might come in here. They're quite big zigzags, aren't they? Nice big stripes, nice big zigzags. I'm liking that. Okay, I'm going to carry on adding some more patterns into my mittens. You have a go adding patterns into your mittens. Okay, now I'm looking at my patterns here. I have left a space in between some of my stripes. So some of them have patterns and some of them are just blank, so it doesn't get too busy. I've got some stripes, some wavy lines, and some zigzags. I've put the wavy lines in twice because I'm kind of repeating that pattern over again. And here I've put in some little stripes to show that little knitted bit that goes around the cuff of a mitten. So I've put that in there. Okay, now they're very nice patterns. And now we need to add some colour. Okay, so now it's time for a little bit of colour. So I'm going to use coloured pencils and I've got my patterns here, but we're going to talk a little bit about colouring first and what makes good colouring. Now, if we have a shape that we want to add colour to, there's different ways that we can go about colouring it in. So if I've got two shapes there, let's see two different techniques we've got for colouring in. Now for both of these, I'm going to make sure I'm holding my pencil. I've got a good grip and a good movement on my pencil there. And then I'm going to colour this one in. I want to make sure I get all of it coloured. Don't want to miss anything. Okay, and then I'm going to colour this one. This one I'm going to do a little differently. So I'm going to add a little buffer at the edge there. And then I'm going to turn my paper slightly. I'm going to keep an even pressure and I'm going to colour this one in. Okay, now I'm not going to finish that one off just now, but which do you think Mrs. Taylor is going to be looking for? Is she going to look for colouring A or is she going to look for colouring B? Okay, now this one is going slightly outside the lines there. Don't think we want that. Some of it's dark and some of it's light, and I don't know about you, but I can see quite a lot of bits of white just tucked in there. I'm thinking it's kind of messy, it's kind of uneven, probably not what we're looking for. This one, more even colour going across. I can fill in little gaps there, but much more steady. So sometimes you can push down heavy on your pencil, sometimes you can push down light, but whatever you decide to do in the bit that you're colouring, you've got to keep it the same all the way through. So don't suddenly go dark or light. Don't change direction if you don't have to. Try and keep it going in the same direction as you're colouring. So back to my little mittens that I have here. I'm going to start with, I think, a little bit of red. I'm just going to go around the outside of the bit of red that I want to colour in. And then I'm going to push down a little bit because I want this to be a nice strong colour. Now if I've got the colour on this side, I want the other mitten to match. So we're going to go right over here and pop in a little bit of the same colour, pushing down the same amount on this side here. Okay, now I can think about different colours that I might want to put in there. So I'm going to have a little look through and I'm going to go for a little bit of an orange. So again, I'm going to put in around the edges. So as I keep the edges right and nice and neat, I'm going to go around the edges first. And then I am going to add in some lovely colour in the middle. And I'm going to go up and down, try not to go outside, and I'm going to carry on colouring this in. Time for you to get started now in colouring in yours. And I'm going to carry on with this one, adding colour to it. Got orange there, need to be orange over here, doesn't it? Right guys, your turn. Off you go. You add colour to your patterns, okay? One colour in each space. Have fun. Hi, so I've carried on colouring in my mittens here and I've kept it to some simple colours. You can see some of them I've pushed down a little bit harder in the orange and sometimes I've been a little lighter just to give it a different tone. So I've used these kind of colours and now I am going to add in a little bit of detail. So I'm going to choose some of the darker colours. I could even go a little bit darker than that and add in a sort of brownish colour. Excuse me. And I'm just going to add in some more details into my patterns. So if I think maybe in this wave here, I am going to add in a little line of stitches to go all the way along that curved edge there. And obviously if I do it in one, my other mitten needs to be the same. Now we're still doing that repeat pattern, so we've still got the same thing happening over and over and over again. So we've got our repeat pattern there. But I might just add in, I think this thumb looks like it needs some little stripes. So I'm going to add in those stripes there. I'm quite liking the stripes. I'm going to go for some orange. The orange is darker than the yellow and I'm going to push down hard in my pencil when I do this. So I think I will add in, I think this needs some nice dots. Same thing over and over and over again. Now if I think my dots are nice the way they are, I can just leave them as they are. However, if I think I want to add something to them, try and make sure the same size there, Mrs. Taylor. If I want to add something else to them, I could add maybe a dot in between, as long as it's the same thing that's happening over and over and over again. And if it happens here, it has to happen here. So now that you've added colour, would you like to add more to your repeat patterns on your gloves? Have a think about what it might be. Now you can always try it on the side and decide, oh, actually, I would like to make it like that. Would have been a nice pattern. So you can decide how you want to make it, okay? I'm going to carry on with some patterns on mine. Have fun. So here is mine all coloured in and I have some simple patterns put in, not too much, we don't want it too busy. So I've got nice mittens for the little kind hedgehog. Now it wasn't just mittens, we were going to make a hat. So on our other piece of paper, or on that piece of paper if you've got room, if you've got a bigger sheet, we're going to make our hat. Now our hand was the size of our mitten and we want our hat to be bigger. So I'm going to put my hand down and holding my pencil in my pencil hand, I am going to draw a big arch round the top. So a big arch over, bigger than my hand, not near my hand at all this time. Right the way over, okay? Doesn't matter if it's wibbly wobbly, don't worry about that. And then join it up at the bottom, okay? Now I'm going to have one of those hats that folds over. You know, it folds back, so it's a woolly hat and it folds over, a bit like the hedgehog had in the story. So I'm going to have that line there. And now I'm going to think about the patterns I might want to have on here. Now I would quite like my hat to match my mittens in some way. So I'm going to use similar colours and I think I'm going to start with the similar kind of stripes. So I'm going to divide up my hat into little striped areas. And then I'm going to add different patterns onto that. Okay. So you can add patterns onto your hat. Okay, now I've got my simple pattern onto my hat, I am ready to add some colour. So again, thinking carefully about the lines, adding in those little buffers at the end to stop it going outside the edge, I'm going to start to add some colour to my hat. You add colour to your hat. Right, time to cut our mittens and hat out, ready to go. So first of all, I'm going to cut this piece of paper very carefully in half to make it easier to cut them out. Now, if you have your fingers in the scissors, and remember that the scissors, the strongest part of the scissors is right in here. So you don't put your fingers inside, but right in here is where it's strongest, and at the end is where it is the weakest for cutting. So we're going to open them up, put the paper right in. Now, what we want to do is keep this hand nice and still where we can see it, and we want to move the paper, because if I show you on this piece of paper here, If we keep the scissors straight, we can move the paper in all sorts of directions and cut out all sorts of shapes with lots of details in them, okay? What we don't want to end up is having an arm coming round in an awkward shape like this where you can't control your scissors. So open them up. We're going to cut along the line nice and slowly. Now, I don't want to cut it till they're fully closed. I'm just going to cut nice and slowly, keeping in control. Open up nice and slowly so we don't get any of those zigzaggy edges all the way around. Now, I don't need this extra piece of paper, so I can cut it off as I go around to get it out of my way. Open up my scissors again, so don't be snipping from here. Open them right up so that you can go around. Turn the paper. Do you see my scissors haven't moved? They're still in the same place, but the paper has. I'm going to show you that here. So if I'm cutting down here, right to where the thumb is, and I get to the end, I'm just going to turn the paper. The scissors have stopped moving. Oh, need to cut it further. Turn the paper around, and I can carry on cutting, keeping my fingers away from the scissors. Okay, keep cutting all the way around. Now, we don't want any white showing. Okay, so if we look at this piece of paper here, you can see that I have left a little bit of the coloured pencil going around the outside edge, and that's okay. So you can cut slightly inside the line, but it's better than cutting slightly outside the line where you've got white bits showing. We don't want to have any white bits around the outside edge. Okay, now once you have got your mitten cut out, we will very quickly need to turn it over and write your name on the back. Mrs. Taylor. Obviously you write your name. Okay, good luck. Get cutting.